Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich. I'm excited. Today, we are going to be talking about physical and mental clutter, how they affect one another, and honestly, how we can start implementing methods into our life that make clearing the clutter more realistic. Because most of us listening, I should say, we don't have homes where every single room has a designated one purpose. No. Your entryway also doubles as your kitchen. Your living room also doubles as your gym. Or maybe your downstairs, which is the playroom, doubles as your gym. Your kitchen is a drop zone. I don't care who you are. The kitchen is always a drop zone for everybody in the family. Maybe your living room also doubles as where you fold laundry. Areas and places in our houses have multiple purposes. You may have the biggest house in the world, and each room does not just have one purpose. It has multiple. It also probably has multiple humans living in it, which makes it even more stressful. So today we're going to dive into physical clutter, how it affects our mental state, and I'm going to share two methods with you that I use and that I teach my clients to use because a lot of times that physical clutter is what's holding us back from actually achieving that goal. First, I'm going to start off by sharing a little story. For those of you who have been a part of our Facebook group, you guys know we go live the first Thursday of each month, and I go live from my office. Well, my office is also our entryway, which is also the walk-through to our garage, the walk-through to our laundry room. It's also my home gym. It doubles, triples, and quadruples as a lot of different things. Well, what that means is when Mike and I are gone and we come home, we unload the car, and if we're exhausted and we feel like we need a break before taking care of things just get left there. They're put on the desk, they're put on the bench. Oh, we've got wet boots from winter coming in. They're muddy. We're going to keep them on the mat. Like there's always some sort of drop that happens, which is typical about any entryway. Well, if we don't get back to it that night and it turns into a work day the next day, and it's still not taken care of because we prioritize sleep and rest and recovery, then the next morning I wake up and I go down to my office and there's all the stuff. And I'm overwhelmed in the sense of, none of this belongs here. It is now time for me to work and things need to be taken care of. So I spend anywhere from a few minutes to a half hour taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. Usually it's simple things like, okay, dirty laundry goes in the back, water bottles go upstairs, boots, shoes need to go in the back because it's also my office. So we're not keeping everything there. It's very minimal things, but it's stuff that gets in the way of me being productive. And I can guarantee you guys all feel that way about at least one portion of your house, whether it's your office, your gym area, your kitchen, whatever that is. So I clear it all up. And then I'm ready to jump into work. What that does, though, is it puts me behind on my game plan for the day. And I am very type A. I love a routine. I love knowing what is going to happen next. And when I walk downstairs and there's clutter, because I didn't think about anything the night before, I get frustrated. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm behind and now I got to play catch up and do all the things and reprioritize. Goes to say, you'd think something would change. It doesn't. We all have habits that we're kind of stuck in the routine of that we don't realize. But there are some different things that we can do, and these are the two methods. There are different things that we can do and we can start implementing that will make this process less frustrating. So let's fast forward into us wanting to complete a workout. So you wake up in the morning, you're like, yes, I'm ready to go work out. You go down to the basement and you realize your basement doubles as the playroom. You walk down and you're like, there's stuff everywhere. Why did the kids not pick up their toys like I asked them to? Why did this not happen? Like, we get frustrated and we get in the story with ourselves. So what happens? We either clear it and clean it up because that's how it makes us feel good, is to just like have it picked up before our workout starts. Or maybe we just shove it all in a corner and we'll say we'll deal with it later. There's typically a response one way or another. Well, if their response is to clean it all up, by the time you're done cleaning all that up, you probably don't have time for that workout, which means you're missing that workout, which then causes frustration and resentment and all these other feelings. If everything's pushed in a corner, in the back of your mind, during that workout that you were completing, you were thinking about this task that you have to come back to because it wasn't done the first time. So either way, there's a disruption happening to our mental state. So that's when it comes to like our workouts. Is there a situation like that that you can relate to? It doesn't just have to be the basement or the toy room. The other part that I'm going to touch on today, and we could go through every single room in the house because I know we could all relate here. The next part that we're going to touch on is the kitchen. And the kitchen is a place that it's just a drop all. I don't care what you say. That is where the mail goes. That is where dishes are. That is a walkthrough of the house. You could have the biggest, most spacious kitchen in the world, and we all know there's still not enough room in that kitchen for everybody. For the 2 people and the dogs or the kids. There's never enough room in the kitchen. It's a spot that is typically where all of us hang out a majority of our time. So that means that there's just a lot of stuff there. You can call it crap, you can call it stuff, you can call it clutter, you can call it whatever the heck you want to call it. But there are things there. And a lot of times those things get in the way, the same way that they did for our workouts. We either walk into that area frustrated and say, I got to clean all this up before I can do the next thing. You walk down in the morning and you're like, dinner didn't get taken care of. So before I start breakfast, I got to take care of dinner dishes. Well, then you're behind on breakfast. And then you feel like, I just completed one set of dishes. Now I got to do another set. Well, that's one option. The other option is you don't clear it up. You wait, you push it aside. And then, I can't find this. I don't have a bowl. Oh, shoot, the pan is dirty from yesterday. I needed that to make the oatmeal this morning. All of that happens, which then creates more mental clutter in our brain. The physical clutter creates more mental clutter, which creates that frustration, that resentment, all of those feelings that we are having, whether it's towards ourselves, towards others, towards our family, whatever it is. We all know what these feelings are. So, if you think about some of the main areas in your life, main physical areas in your life, I want to be clear on that. Places that you work out, places that you prep your food, places that you unwind. If those areas are crazy, cluttered, chaotic, stuff everywhere, you are not going to be able to be the best version of you in those areas because there's going to be other things showing up back in our mind of, I really should just clean up the office before I get into work today. Before I get into doing email, I should just do a quick one through. I've worked with enough clients to know clearing is not as quick as we like to think it is. We tend to put too much on that to-do list of, I'm just going to do a quick clear. I'm going to clear the entire house. We're going to go here, here, here. It's going to be very quick. Quick and clearing should not be in the same sentence together when it comes to decluttering. I've learned that. I work with clients. We do that. We focus on one space at a time. So if you're thinking about some of those areas, I want you to think about, I'm going to share 2 methods here. I want you to think about which one of these methods would work for that area. Ideally, both of them will work for all of your areas. But as we've talked about in the past, I don't want you to take on all of the methods that I'm sharing. I'm giving you 2 because there may be one that resonates a little bit more with you than another. So let's talk about these 2 methods. So method 1 is the put it away, don't put it down method. And this can be challenging if you have little ones in the house because you're not in control of what they do. This method is more for you. If you are somebody who knows that you tend to just take your shoes off at the front door and they really need to go to the back, but you never get our back around to it, and then you're frustrated that the shoes are in the way when you walk in out of the door, this method is for you. This is where anytime you are done using something, We don't just leave it where we're done. We put it back to its home. And that can look like, I'm done with a dirty dish. Instead of putting it in the sink, if the dishwasher is dirty, put it directly in the dishwasher. Like, complete that step. That can mean instead of keeping the shoes on the rug, put them right back on the shelf. Instead of putting that jacket on the door handle, putting it on the hanger. It can mean instead of just folding the laundry and leaving it in the laundry basket, folding it and putting it away, completing the task. It can be really, really small. It can mean you bring in that mail and right away sort through. That's junk, throw that out. Bills, prioritize then however you need to. But it's don't put it down, put it away. Because what happens is all those little pauses that items take throughout the house are essentially more work for you. Oh, well, we have this drop zone. I love a drop zone. I use a drop zone. So drop zones are great when you cannot physically take it up to when it needs to go, but then that's where method number 2 comes into play, is to then clear that drop zone on a regular basis. Because so often we have drop zones and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I think we've all probably seen some sort of reel, or we all know the feeling of when mom sets something on the steps and everybody decides to walk by it instead of taking it upstairs where it belongs. Yeah. I think we all know that feeling. Or you put something at the top of the steps to take downstairs and we all walk by it 100 times. So the more you can just, anytime you have something of, oh, I have my computer, I'm done with it for the day. This is something that I'm really getting in the habit of doing. I'll come upstairs at the end of the day, I'll get done, I'll shut it, and I'll leave it. Well, I don't want to leave it. I'm going to take it right back down to the basement. I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to get it complete. I'm going to complete that task for the day. Because in the morning, then I don't have to open up a laptop that is dead and say, oh, now I got to go downstairs, plug it in, or go downstairs, get the charger, bring it back up. No. Instead of putting it down, I'm putting it away where it belongs, putting it in its home. So that is method number 1. If you're somebody who's notorious for just kind of dropping things and then having to repick things up later, I highly recommend trying this. It is really helpful. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just think about, is this where this item belongs? No, put it where it belongs right away when you take it off. Method number 2 is the 30-minute evening cleanup method. So what this looks like is if you're somebody who lives alone, do this on your own. If you're somebody who has a family, I highly recommend pulling those in your family into this 30-minute evening cleanup. What you do is you can make it fun. You can put on music. You can put on a podcast, whatever it is to get people going. I like music because it keeps things upbeat. I'll do this. I'll put it in my AirPods if I'm home alone and I want to do this. You set a timer for 30 minutes. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, hey, whatever. Or set a timer on your phone if you don't have any of those. I just set a timer on my phone. You go 3, 2, 1, go. For those next 30 minutes, you go around and you clear whatever you can. If you have members, you give each member an area. Hey, I need you to go through this area, and this area. Make sure things are cleared, picked up, put back where they belong. Hey, kids, you've got things in your drop area, that drop area I was talking about. I need all these to go back up to your room. That could also mean hey, I'm going to spend 30 minutes cleaning up the kitchen as best as I can in those 30 minutes. Get your spaces cleaned up in 30 minutes. Give yourself that time. It makes it fun. It also allows you to kind of see how much can you get done rather than I have to work until I'm done. No, get as much as you can get done in those 30 minutes. After that 30 minutes is done, come back together, celebrate. Great work. Now you guys can head up to bed. That allows you guys to work as a team and not put all the responsibility or burden on just that one person. That also works really well if you have little ones who are pulling things out every 2 seconds and you're like, I can't put it away because they're just going to pull it back out. Don't worry about picking up throughout the day. Give yourself that 30 minutes at the end of the day to do that quick sweep of the house. If you're somebody who it's just you and your spouse, or it's just you and you don't have a lot of people to kind of rally together and complete this, what I want you to do is I want you to pick your top 3 areas. Kitchen, workout area, office. Maybe those are your top 3 areas. Okay. Or kitchen, bedroom, workout area. Because remember we talked about back in episode 23, our sleep episode with Kelly Meyerson, that a cluttered room can lead to unproductive and bad quality and quantity of sleep. So maybe you're focusing on kitchen, bedroom, office, kitchen, bedroom, workout space, whatever that is. Set your timer. Start with priority number 1. As soon as you are done with that, then go to priority number 2. And then if you have time, go to priority number 3. If you only get through priority number 1, that is okay. That is okay. If you're like, no, I really need to get to all 3 of these, set 3 10-minute timers. When that 10-minute timer goes off for that first one, complete the task you're on and move to that next room. That right there is a really awesome way to know that you've gone around and you've done your absolute best the evening before to set yourself up for success the next morning. And a lot of times we're tired and we're exhausted. 30 minutes isn't that much. If you complete before that 30 minutes, congratulations, you're done. Give yourself a high five, pat on the back. Congratulations, I'm going to bed. But a lot of times there's more in our life to pick up because we are not good at putting it away. We put it down, we leave it for later. The better habit you can get, and you can get those in your family to get into, put it away, don't put it down, will make that 30-minute cleanup at the end of the day even more powerful. So 2 methods. You can start with any of them. I recommend just picking one though. Pick one of those methods that you are going to try for the next week. Tell the family you were doing it. Hey, I'm doing this. If you have little ones, they probably won't understand. But it's also good to teach them now. This is when we're building habits for them. We're building routines. You're teaching them about a bedtime. You're teaching them about brushing their teeth, brushing their hair, showering. Teach them now about, instead of just leaving their stuff, putting it away when they're done. You're kind of already doing that with pickup time. But if we can relay that all throughout our day and not just when they're playing with toys, they will learn and they won't have to relearn it when we're adults like we are now. Some of the other things that I want you to just kind of keep in the back of your mind, that in an ideal world, we do a whole rehaul and we clear the house and we declutter and we get rid of all the things that no longer serve us and are going to serve our future selves. But that takes a lot of time, like I mentioned. A quick declutter is not as quick as we like to think it is. If you've ever been a kid and you were told to clean your room and you got distracted by all the little trinkets and fun things that you found in your room at one point, still happens as adults. I promise. I help clients with this all the time. I've got one client that I'm there on a weekly basis and I kind of help manage the household and we declutter. We create a long list and typically we get to one area or one drawer, depending on where we're at and how long it's been since we touched it last. That's realistic. We set really unrealistic goals for ourselves when it comes to decluttering, really when it comes to anything in life. We set unrealistic goals. Let's be realistic about it. So if you're somebody who is like, we've been doing the 30-minute cleanup, I'm feeling really good with that, or as a family, we've been practicing on putting it away, not putting it down, and you're ready for the next step, on a monthly basis, schedule an afternoon to focus on one room, one closet, one drawer in your house. Then, if that goes well, schedule another time and another time. Every fall, almost winter time, somewhere in there, October usually, I go through my basement and I clear out all the papers we no longer need. I do a declutter. I do a big Goodwill haul. It is crazy the amount of stuff we accumulate just as humans. We've been living in our house for 6 years in May, and holy moly, we've accumulated a lot of stuff. A lot of things are things we use. For instance, furniture. We have a lot of furniture that we use. I've started my office there. I've started my business there. So I've got all of my workout stuff, like all of that. But I've gotten a new suitcase and we haven't gotten rid of the old. Like there's things that come in as we replace, but we don't get rid of the old. So if you are somebody who has had that happen, I recommend creating just a monthly declutter, pick a room, pick a closet, pick a drawer, pick something to focus on once a month. And slowly over time, It will get easier, I promise. It is hard if you have kiddos and they are growing because you kind of have to do it a little bit more frequently because it seems like every 2 days they're growing out of something. And you're like, I just cleared your drawers out. Why do I have to do it again? I get it. If you want help with that, I help one of my families with that I can tell you what our process is and how it's not a turnkey system. There's still changing and there's still tweaks that we have to make every time, but I'm happy to share what we do that I find is a little bit more helpful than what we've tried in the past. So remember, the one thing I want you to take away from today is that physical clutter in your house, that mess, that item that's on the floor, that physical space, the way it looks matters. If it is crazy, out of control, messy, we are going to feel that mentally. We are mentally going to have all these conversations or be distracted by things of, oh, I need to be doing that. That needs to get cleaned up. Okay, now this, now that. And we're going to mentally create this to-do list. And it's going to take us away from what we are presently trying to do or who we're trying to interact with. So I want you to think about those 2 methods today. Which method are you going to try? Send me a message. My email's in the show notes, or jump into our community. Call your shot. Make a post, say, I'm going to try the put it away, don't put it down method, or the 30-minute evening cleanup method. Because I want to know how it's going. I'll check in with you. I'll go back and forth. We'll figure out what's working, what's not working. Because just because they're methods doesn't mean it's turnkey and it's going to work perfectly for you. There's going to be a few little tweaks that probably need to happen. So with that, I want you to pick what method you're going to try. What'd you learn from today's episode? And if you have a woman in your life or a family member that you know needs to hear this episode because you know the physical space that they're in is causing them stress and overwhelm and just so much frustration, resentment to those around them, send them this episode. Ask them which method they're going to try after they listen. And you guys can hold each other accountable. So until next time, I will see you then. Thank you for tuning in to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with actionable tips. Remember, your journey to becoming the strongest, most confident version of yourself is just beginning. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join our community of empowered women. Until next time, stay strong and stay confident.